Ben Albert is the owner of Albert Marketing, founder of Grow Getters Only, and host of the internationally recognized podcast, Real Business Connections. After being furloughed during COVID and finding himself in one of the lowest seasons of his life, Ben began reaching out to people on LinkedIn and built a business around the power of real relationships. Today, his work is comprised of podcasting, marketing, building community and connections, and helping entrepreneurs turn conversations into trust, visibility, and long-term opportunity. Ben, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy. This is going to be a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you and I met on LinkedIn, and it was through your Grow Getters community that I first kind of got introduced to you and your community. And I really liked the Grow Getters aspect of it because that immediately told me I was going to surround myself by people who were in it for growth, whether that be personal growth, business growth, community growth, just growth in general. And growth is actually one of my core values. So I was really drawn to that. Where did the idea come from for that particular community?
I mean, at the core, so Andrew Biernat, who co-founded with me literally like 5 years ago, it's amazing. We've been doing this. We've been putting on at least a monthly event for 5 years now. We didn't really like a lot of networking groups. There's a lot of language around referrals and someone being green to networking and leads. And to me, like I'm introverted and I'm also a creative. And it all felt kind of icky, but I knew that I needed to connect to make connections, to grow my business, to grow my brand. We can go whatever route you want, but like I was recently unemployed during the pandemic and I didn't have any connections. I didn't know how to run a business. So you need to network, but it felt icky. And nowadays I don't even call it networking. I call it connect working, because you're working on connecting the dots, bridging gaps, making connections. But we wanted to create a space that, yes, you met people, yes, you networked in quotes, but it was a place to connect. And one thing that we focused on, it has actually changed over the years. We used to always have like two keynote speakers. So it was a bigger event where it was a speech, we'd have a speaker and then networking, a speaker and then networking. Because Grow Getters Only, we wanted growth. We wanted education as part of it. Nowadays, we don't always bring a full keynote speaker, but every networking room is open by a short lesson to create a prompt. So you're not just in the room pitching what you do. You just learn something in a 60-second prompt, in a quote, in a lesson, and then you can have a conversation, because really networking, all it is conversations at scale. It's building relationships. And I still find it icky sometimes. But when I do it with the right people, I really get to enjoy it.
I love that. I'm an introvert too. A lot of people are surprised to learn that because I'm networking and everywhere and been on TV and all that. But I am an actual introvert, and it does take me out of my comfort zone to get out there. I just, like you, I understand the importance of it. And I know that I hear a lot of younger people struggle with understanding even how to network. And, they'll immediately start, which many of us have done this in our early networking days. Here's my card. Here's my card.
Yeah.
Or do you want to do business with me? Or, I love that you've given that prompt at the beginning. So there's something else to talk about instead of, well, here's what I do. Do you want to buy? What's been your favorite prompt, you think, lately that you can think of that you've given?
Oh, dang. I mean, there's so many of them. I'll give my most recent one because I just did an event this week and it's on my mind. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's so close to my heart. So in elementary school, in the cafeteria, we were blessed to have a stoplight in the cafeteria. And the green light actually said the word, I'm messing up my own prompt. It started with the red light and it had the word stop. The yellow light had the word think. And then the green light had the word act. So every day at lunch, and I was a shy kid, so sometimes I was just staring off into space or looking at the light. Stop, think, act. Stop, think, act. And I think part of what's made me good under pressure is my willingness to stop, think, analyze the situation, and not act fast. Now, in some cases, I'm like a deer in headlights, and it's the nurse or the person who's like moving quicker when something's an emergency state. But we all have different reactions to an emergency, a client need, a problem, a fire to put out. So the prompt is and was in the breakout rooms, how do you handle a high stress situation, a problem with a client that you just need to solve? And if you have like examples, provide an example of a problem you've solved. So then
Nice.
anyone in the breakout room can hear different ways, one, to handle high stress situations, or two, oh, wow, I've had that problem before and my service provider, my vendor did a terrible job. Or I know somebody who's having that problem right now. So by sharing how you solve a complex problem, we get a feel for what problems you solve and what you're like to work with without you pitching how great you are. You're just providing an example of what it looks like to work with you.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, you're right. Because kind of seeing how someone thinks is really helpful in figuring out if you're going to mesh with them in the project or
Yeah.
the setting. That's awesome. Really cool. And earlier I said too that you have your marketing agency. How did you get into marketing to begin with?
Accidentally.
Yeah.
I was marketing before I knew what marketing was. And really it was just wanting to be a sense of belonging, wanting to be a part of a community. In high school, I was like the nerdy, shy kid, but I was obsessed with music. Specifically, like there was a local reggae band called Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad. Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad. Not many people know them unless they're in the reggae scene or if they're from like my town in Rochester, New York. Because even in high school, I was going to all the shows. And before you know it, I was handing out flyers, helping with merch booths. And then there's like 30 people at our small high school that have these Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad shirts. And I didn't know that I was guerrilla marketing. I was just highlighting a good thing. Um, that went into eventually like starting a music blog. And then my first ever podcast was a local music podcast in 2016. Ran that from 2016 to 2021. And it was really just like, hey, I love this music. And to be honest with you, like I was a complete consumer, and at one point a party animal. So I'm going to here's the thing, entertainment industry, music, fashion, creatives. There is no business without consumers. There is no business without ticket sales. There is no shame. Nowadays, I just want to show up and have fun. I'm very busy at work. But I felt like I was a consumer, but not a producer. And I wasn't the best musician. So I found my place in highlighting the best musicians. That was my place. And I didn't know that was marketing or promotion. I didn't know that was community building or tribe finding. I just found something that I enjoyed. And it later, long way down the road led to a career.
That's awesome. So you're like my career, yours organically grew. So that's really cool. And that is, say the name of the band again.
Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad.
All righty. Yeah. Some decisions were made with that name for sure. That's awesome.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. That's awesome. Wow. And so then it just led into natural marketing. And I see you've said the word community many times. Why is community important to you?
I Can I be honest? Well,
Yeah,
I think
please.
you want me to. I sometimes struggle with why questions because, like many of us, I get really deep in thought and I can give you like the political good sounding answer. I think the actual why is I was shy and didn't fit in when I was a kid. And I was like a huge basketball fan before. I went from basketball to music, but I had like a jersey every single day of the week, and I loved basketball. But I was really talented. I was actually winning shooting competitions, all the whole shabam. But I was the shortest boy in school, and I was a shy kid. So what do you think happens? You end up getting bullied. You get pushed around a little bit. I was small, and I felt small. And part of like basketball, I feel like I got bullied. I never found my community in sports. Nowadays, I have friends and we watch sports all the time. And then eventually found it in music. It was other creatives, other shy, weird, introverted types. But why is community important? I think it's because part of me still knows what it feels like to be small and doesn't want others to feel that way. And I want to highlight a good thing. I want to make introductions. I want a sense of belonging community for others because I know what it feels like not to have that. And part of me still chasing that thing.
I love it. I love it. No, you're right. I mean, that's why I named the podcast Finally Seen, is because I know how many people out there don't feel seen.
Yeah.
They don't feel heard. And sometimes it's surprising to find out, like you look at somebody and you would think based on their social media profile, oh, they must totally feel like they've got a huge fan base and community. And then come to find out they don't actually feel seen, for who they are. And I think we're kind of starting to see a little bit of not a reckoning, that's not the right word, but shake up, if you will, on some of these people going, all right, I'm tired of not actually being seen. I'm going to really be real here now. At least that's what I'm seeing on social media.
Yeah.
And I saw that on your Instagram, you said you're taking a hiatus from that and I see you focusing more on LinkedIn. How are you finding that hiatus from Instagram and the focus on LinkedIn going?
I don't know if I said I'm focusing on LinkedIn because I'm on like a moderate LinkedIn hiatus too.
Okay.
I used to post every single day because I felt like I needed to be seen. And honestly, it is a good practice. If we were to get tactical, posting daily, having a specific word or meaning around all your posts, like building a brand is huge. But I had done that and I was exhausted. And I was like afraid to reshare posts because I didn't want to flood the wall and hurt my algorithm. And I was overthinking things. So I've kind of been not posting much on LinkedIn anymore. And I just click reshare anytime someone tags me on something. I'm less caring about the algorithm and I'm caring more about the relationship. Someone wants to tag me, I'm spending more time in the DMs. And that was the key to Instagram. I completely archived all my posts and put that message on a social media detox. You can DM me all day. I'm in stories sometimes posting stuff, but I wanted to detox. I post a little on LinkedIn, but I almost completely detoxed from posting new content at all. Don't know if I recommend that. It depends on the stage in someone's career. And this was years ago, but it's a good example of the purpose why it feels important to me. I remember going to the New Orleans Jazz Festival. And
Oh,
we've already
nice.
created a premise that I love music and I love the vibe and the experience of being at a show. And one of the days specifically, I must have taken like 75 videos. I spent the entire day with my phone taking these short videos and I wasn't posting them right away, but I was like taking them. And then it took me another entire day to one by one try to upload these and send them to people. And honestly, I don't have an iPhone. It's like a kind of a beater Android right now. So it wasn't the best quality. So I spent all this time recording and then all this time sharing, and no one actually really cared. Like, it's
And you
a
didn't get to be present.
exactly. It's a clip of a moment that I'm like, oh, look how cool this moment is. Let's document it to brag later. But I was completely unpresent and I was completely unseen. I'm the guy on his phone. I didn't meet anybody. I wasn't having conversations. I was hiding behind the lens of a camera on my phone. And I felt really bad afterwards. You would think like a moment like that, the reason you're taking the visual is because you want to remember it. But I felt like icky and bad after the experience. Like I wasn't present. I didn't meet anyone. I spent the entire time recording it for social validation rather than just being a part of it. And I'm like, this social media thing's starting to affect me and I need to spend a lot less time on it. and share stories of the events I was at, maybe clip a picture or two, but don't feel like I need to document or be on my phone the entire time because it would take me away from the experience and actually make me feel more lonely in doing so.
Yeah. 100%. I'm really bad at actually taking a lot of video and photos of things unless there's someone else doing it because I usually just get too caught up. So I am excited for the day when I can have somebody just follow me around and I don't have to worry about it. But you know, you talk about having conversations and these connections, and we most of our clients are authors, and I always tell authors, if you don't have a big social following but you have a big kind of in real life community, whether that's a digital one that's all DMs and not actually, connections or whatever, well, they'd be connections, but you
Yeah.
get my point.
Yeah.
You've got to have that community, so an engaged community, whether it be fans on social media or actually relationships that you've built. And a lot of times the relationships are the stronger way to go. And I personally try to focus on having at least 5 conversations a day. And that doesn't mean these kinds of like hour-long conversations, but like, hey, I saw this article, thought you would enjoy it. I saw your post last week or whatever. And I got that idea from a LinkedIn connection, built a relationship with he and his team at the Atlas Rose agency. And man, it's been a lot more fulfilling focusing on having the conversations versus I have to post 5 times this week. That's been a lot more fulfilling. And a cool idea that Brandon had, Brandon's the founder of Atlas, was to take all these conversations, get the content from those. Like you're already having the conversations, just use those for your content. And it's like takes the pressure off of trying to create it.
It's one, and I've taught social media, and it's like I almost argue with myself because I'm like moving away from it. But that's why, like I mentioned, resharing and not being afraid to reshare, even if it hurts my algorithm. Because if I reshare, they see I reshared, sending a DM. I have unsubscribed by so many email lists, but the ones I really love, I'm still subscribed to. And just sending a message like, thanks for your message today, or supporting you on this event, like those tiny little touch points at scale lead to so much. I love how you said, I love to have at least 5 conversations a day. I learned this from Jordan Harbinger like years ago, but you literally just 5 messages a day, preferably farther down on your contact list as possible. So you go to your messages, you go to your Instagram DMs, you go to your emails, and you just start scrolling. And you just scroll, scroll, scroll. Maybe you're watching a sitcom, you're hanging out, listening to music. You get towards the bottom and you're like, wow, I met that person at a conference like 7 years ago. And we had a drink and talked about X, Y, and Z, and I haven't even talked to him since. Or, oh, wow, that person was interested in my product and I never followed up. And you just send 5 messages a day, and that equals 1,600 plus a year. And it equals just better conversations, better relationships with tiny little touch points. Now, if you're creating content and if you're alive online and looking good, it makes it easier to convert whatever you're trying to do if in a business context. But just from a relationship context, that's how we build something long term. And that's how it feels good as a business leader. Just we're not not human doings, we're human beings. It took me a second. It's a cliche, but it's coming to mind. It's like being a
Yeah,
human being and it just starting conversations with people.
100%. I mean, a lot of people know that I've been in the coactive community, coactive as the Coach Training Institute, and that's one of the things that we learned from that. It's the human being side of things. Like one of the cool things I learned from my training there was, do you have a to be list? Everyone has a to-do list, but do you
Mm,
have a to-be list? And
right.
I loved that because I thought, that's probably what's missing from my day. How do I want to be today? So, but I love that you were saying to scroll down and find those connections that you might have made in real life and then just kind of fizzled out on. I actually found one the other day myself. It was on LinkedIn and it had said it was his birthday. And I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to this guy in forever. And we met at a trade show over a decade ago. He had even gone out to dinner with my husband. I mean, so like, why did it fall off? Crazy. And
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been this long. What are you up to? And so it was just reigniting that human connection. And then it's like, just expand your network because you never know who that person knows. And, the conversations don't always need to be business related
Yeah.
because we're just human beings, like you said.
And as you said, like what beautiful content for a story in a social media post or in an email. Like I met Chrissy 5 years ago at a trade show and she taught me this. I even wrote it down. It changed the course of my life, but I forgot it came from Chrissy. And I'm scrolling through my phone one day and I see her name and it's Sparks. We just got back together and did X, Y, and Z. And like it makes for a great story and a great post, and the content creates itself rather than just outsourcing it entirely to AI or not wanting to do it at all because you don't know what to talk about. You just tell the story of your life.
That's a fantastic point because I see so many people complaining now on LinkedIn about, oh my gosh, everybody's posts look exactly the same because you just let AI tell it. And, it's like, it's really not that hard to find these real things to talk about. And people are craving the authenticity and the quirky and I know authentic's a little bit of a trite word now, but they
Yeah.
really want to know the human being behind what they're doing, or what the business is. So that's a fantastic suggestion. I'll need to go back and kind of look at some of the conversations too that might have a bigger story around them that I should expand. So I even got an idea just from that. Nice.
Cool.
So, and are you ever on Substack? Have you tried Substack?
I have, I've read a couple, I'm going to say no. I've read a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
blogs, but I've never created my own account or posted on it.
We have one client who she's really doing a great job of building her community on Substack. Um, and she actually got she was one of those people who got banned off of Meta,
Okay.
not for doing anything wrong, just one of those freak things where
Huh.
I guess her account got hacked and then they thought whatever. And so she actually was like, you know what? I'm okay without it. And so she leaned into the other platforms that really are allowing her to build community because that's what she's all about as well. Um, and I want to bring up a point about school
Hmm.
and Hormozy. I hear so many people see his model that he did on school and with his book launch, and they think, oh, I'm just going to follow exactly what he did and do it too. And I think what they forget is if you're going to follow exactly what he did, you better start 10 years ago because he started building that community 10 years ago.
And he's Hermosi. Not that all of us, we might be better than him in so many different areas for so many different reasons, but Hermosi's a character. Like, he's very well spoken. He's incredibly intelligent, but also willing to take these complicated, things and simplify it for the everyday. He's very intelligent, but he dresses like a gym bro. And he's got sometimes like a mustache or a beard and his bulky, strong legs hanging out. Like he's a character. He is not you. That's okay. But to try to be him, he's him. That's why he's so good, is because he's being himself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and sometimes the nose patch or what the nose
Yeah.
strip. Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes the nose strip.
Those don't work. I don't think those work, but
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've used one of those. So I don't know. Let's go back to that prompt that you were talking about. I want to ask you that prompt.
Mm.
What's a problem that you had to solve and how did you solve it?
Oof. Now I got to answer the prompt. Ooh. So one of the, I don't know if I'd call it a problem. It was like a really fun opportunity, but I have a client of mine, her podcast, Yvonne Verity, her podcast is Rebel Roots. And she was actually just on the cover of her local magazine. She's from Wilmington, North Carolina. It's called Wilma Magazine. She was the cover model ultimately with her podcast, Rebel Roots, because she has like Clean Eats franchise. Her and her husband founded it. And now they've scaled to like hundreds of locations, many franchisees, but no one really knows who they are. So other than their local community, like they're very active, but the world, the international doesn't know who these people are, even though they're crushing it. So they start a podcast ultimately to like build relationships live and highlight their clients and their friends and learn on the spot and build a brand and really like create and network while they build that brand. So she kicks butt. I gave more context than necessary. Just she's on my mind right now. She wanted to put out a Mother's Day episode, and it came out on Monday, and she recorded it on Thursday, which is not enough time. It is if it's just like let's throw things together, like, crockpot style and hope it comes out good. But for the amount of production and work we do as an
Yeah.
agency on the back end, it's just not enough time. It's doable, but it's all hands on deck and we have to work on the weekend. And I find midway through that actually she did 3 guests all at one. Again, makes it a little more complicated. One of
Yeah.
the guest files didn't upload properly on Riverside.
Oh,
I didn't know at the time, but this is just me nerding out. She was on her phone and her phone didn't have enough space on it. So it wasn't able to
oh,
record and upload locally. So her file got lost and and we were already on a short deadline. And I
wow.
talked and I hadn't listened to the file because I hadn't seen it. I didn't know the context, but we had talked like I could probably like cut her out and still make it work or we'll figure it out. And I didn't realize at the time it was her Yvonne's daughter whose file had cut through. And she was like a 10-week-old mom. So
Oh,
it's Mother's Day and it's a pregnant woman, a 10-week-old, and a woman with 5 kids, and then Yvonne who has her kids. So to miss her daughter with the 10-week-old is a big part of the podcast. So we had to figure out like what are we going to do here? I actually used AI with the transcript to figure out what exactly the questions she asked were. And then I made a list of the questions for her. They found time where she just asked the questions and then Shelby, the daughter, re-recorded all the answers. And then we just plopped them in and added her to the grid. And you literally cannot tell that they were recorded on 2 separate times.
that's awesome.
And we made deadline, which was Mother's Day, which is a kind of a deadline you don't want to miss. You don't want to put the Mother's Day episode out 2 days late.
Yeah.
And it was just good teamwork and ingenuity, and AI made it easier. But yeah, and I already said this. I didn't realize it was her daughter until after we went through the process because I hadn't heard the feedback, and I'm like, it's really important that we did this right.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. Anybody who's put together a podcast knows that was definitely one of those Olympic moments that, team being able to pull all that together. Wow. Kudos. And I love that you bring the point up at the very beginning of that is that they're crushing it. Yet a lot of people don't know about them
Yeah.
outside of their circle. And I see that all the time. I mean, it's really the core of our brand is bridging that, what I call the authority visibility gap. And I love that she was smart enough to go, you know what, a podcast will help. Let's do that. So love it. Especially since she can control the content and can bring on whomever she wants. And so, yeah, that's
And
really
and now
awesome.
she's on the cover of magazines.
It's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's fun. And did her daughter end up liking the episode?
Oh, I haven't gotten that feedback.
Okay.
Part of the vibe I got is she was too busy to even record it, so I don't know if she has time to listen to it. But
Yeah, she
I did
probably
great.
would rather sleep in
Yes,
her downtime with a
yes,
10-week-old, I would imagine. So
yeah.
that's awesome. So when it comes to building relationships, what do you find is the easiest way to start off without being creepy or just like, hey, here's my link, want to have a conversation. I do get those a lot. I'm like, context? Are we like meeting for coffee? Are we like, like, what are we doing? But I get those all the time, the DMs where it's just like, hey, up for a 5-minute chat? No.
No, I solved this problem. Blah 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 blah. Would you like to talk to me? Um, so you're talking in like a business context?
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to the professional networking.
And it's different based on your role and the cultural standards. I do have the luxury of being my own business owner, so I kind of get to call the shots. You do want to follow the culture of your organization always. But I just talk to people like they're my friend. I'm very casual. I type the way that I speak. There's actually a new AI tool that I started using called Whisper Flow, and
Yes.
it transcribes for me. So I literally can just talk and then it'll transcribe it for me and fix the grammar and make it look good on its own. It does a great job of that. But I just am human to human talking to people the way I speak. I'm not using all these complicated NLP linguistic patterns to try to trick them into complying to the ask that I'm just talking to a person and I'm just having a conversation. And just in that, it's a funny example. I'll find the video for you, but there's a streamer called I Show Speed. And I only kind of know him, but if you're under the age of 20, you're probably obsessed with him. He's one of the biggest streamers ever. And he's meeting Ronaldo for the first time. And I remember seeing this clip, and most people are like, oh my God, it's Ronaldo. What was it like when you were doing A, B, and C? And he comes up to Ronaldo and he's just, I'm butchering what he said because I'm like trying to remember the clip, but he's just like, what's going on, man? How we doing? Let's kick some balls. What's up? And he's just talking to this like international sensation, one of the greatest athletes of all time. And he's just talking to him like he's a bro. And that's part of what his, like Hermosi has his unique position. That's part of what makes I Show Speed who he is. Very extroverted, very loud, very fun, very friendly, but he doesn't walk up and go with formalities. He just shows up entirely himself and starts acting friendly with someone that most people would be jaw dropping to try to talk to. So he builds instant rapport. Not because he's extroverted, more so because he's being exactly himself and he's just speaking like a human to a human without some ulterior agenda. So I kind of work through that on the spot, but I really think it's as simple as just being human and being yourself.
Yeah, I had this conversation recently with somebody, and I used to kind of dim my light, if you will, for a lack of a better phrase. And I used to play small because I really didn't like being on camera, even though we were on TV. I didn't want the story to be about me, and I really played small. And I've gotten to a point, and maybe it's because I'm older now, but I'm not comfortable not being myself just because I might be maybe too much for you. Um, and I'm starting to learn that we are actually a mirror for other people. And sometimes it reflects back to them stuff that they don't like about themselves and they project that onto you. And once I kind of wrapped my head around that, it made it less important for me to not be myself. I mentioned before we hopped on that the performative side of things really is not my jam. I don't like that. And yet I always kind of worried because I'm quirky. I'm a dork. I know that I say corny jokes. I'm clumsy. And I don't always feel put together. And I'm like, you know what? That's okay because
Yeah.
my audience is probably similar and they're probably feeling the same way. And so if they can look at me and go, okay, that's possible. And she's still clumsy. She just dropped her pen or, whatever. I guess I'm okay with it now. I'm not being all put together because I'm not.
It's wild because there's a term for this in marketing. We can Google it, but it's when you actually put in mistakes intentionally to look more authentic. We're getting to a point where like authenticity is a tactic. When I think authenticity really just needs to be who you are, but it's become a tactic that if I'm going to send a mass message, let's put in a couple grammatical errors, or let's put an error in our copy, or let's intentionally put the words in the wrong spot, like on our graphics, so it doesn't look polished in AI. It's gotten to a point that we're so craving authenticity that people are literally manipulating authenticity to look more real. And I think the best thing you can do is just freaking be you. Like it's starting to irritate the heck out of me because I want to know who I'm talking to, and it's sometimes difficult nowadays. It's a problem.
Yeah, actually, I've seen multiple posts on that very thing on LinkedIn today where people, they say put an error in there. And obviously, they're making fun of that suggestion,
Yeah.
but we've all seen it. And, um, you know, energetically speaking, on a quantum physics level, there's a reason why that authentic marker doesn't land. And it's because it's not energetically aligned. So it's not going to work for long.
Oh, and the tactics are good. Like if you're not a great storyteller, learning storytelling frameworks is good. But when everything's just like, I don't want to tell the story this way. It's coming out of me this way. I feel called to just be myself, but I have to follow this 5-part framework. Like you start losing yourself in the process. And that's the one thing I want people to avoid.
Yeah, 100%. There is a particular framework that I started using, shoot, like 10 years ago. And my issue with it was that sometimes it would feel a little stale or a little sterile, like it was just too much of a recipe. And I started interjecting things to be more human. One of my mentors is Brian Kramer, and he's the guy who created the H2H movement.
Oh, cool.
Literally wrote the book on it. It's called There's No B2B, No B2C, It's Only H2H. That's literally his book. But ever since I learned the importance of talking to a human being versus a company,
Yeah.
that has really changed everything. So yeah, we've always infused some sort of humanity. I'm very psychology based. Whenever I do stuff, I want to know where they are, like what are they thinking, what are their emotions, what are they feeling? Because at the beginning of the customer journey versus the end might be the same person, so the demographics might be correct, but they're going to be in a completely different emotional and physical mental state. So that's how I approach it. Very uh, human like. What about you?
I agree.
You're
Can
like,
I
yes, and
Yes, and I think that's the best way to do it. And I love AI because it's my favorite personal assistant. We won't go on a long rant, but I had a potential medical concern and it's undiagnosed what's wrong. So I'm getting these tests done and seeing these doctors and an MRI, and I'm not replacing the doctor with the AI, but I'm uploading all my lab tests to it. I'm uploading all my thoughts to it, and it's summarizing everything, and it's helping me look at diet and all this stuff. Like AI is a great tool for humans,
not
but
to
it's exactly. So that was my and, because everything you said I could just put an exclamation point and call it a day, but that was my and because you said yes and for it.
Well, I love that you say that because a lot of people they'll upload all their stuff and then they'll think, okay, that's it. I can replace my doctor. And it's like, no, there still needs to be a human discernment because we know very well that AI is wrong all the time. It can give you good questions to ask and maybe help you think a different way so that you can ask your doctor questions or push back on some things. And I hear this all the time from younger marketers specifically. They're like, I'm afraid of AI replacing me. And I see these posts where I got rid of my whole marketing department with an AI agent. And I tell them, don't worry, AI can't do your job. somebody who can use AI better than you might, though. So where are you leaning into AI?
I mean, this is a little bit of a tangent, but AI in most cases is not profitable. It's causing these companies billions and billions of dollars. And the more we use it, the more they cost them. They haven't properly monetized. So just because it's working and maybe you replaced your whole department with AI, it could be working for you. I'd love to see the case study. There's no guarantee that that's going to persist through. Your leadership skills, your communication skills, your product development, your relationships can persist through, but there's no like guarantee that just because AI is working for you now, it's going to be the solution for everything. But that is my opinion on AI. I love it to death, but I love it to death as a tool. Just how way back in the day, so I'm from New York, but I'm Rochester, New York. I'm upstate. New York City, there was a job that I'm so happy I never had this job or lived in this day. They'd ride around and pick up horse crap. That was their full-time job. They were cleaning the streets of horse crap because a lot of people were on horses and the horses like to crap. We no longer have horse crap picker-uppers in New York City because now we have cars. Are we mad that we don't have horse crap picker-uppers? We have just transitioned our career roles to make life easier and better for humans and animals ultimately as part of it. I don't want to hurt the animals or the environment in the process. We can optimize and find new roles, but we never wanted that role anyways.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes, no more horse crap picker uppers. That's funny. Yeah, you're right. And I believe similarly too. I've told our team, like, I want you to be able to lean into AI to help you do your job as much as possible. Not on the writing side as really, I don't want that to be it, but on the like processes and things
Mhm.
like that. But I need you to be able to do your job without AI just in case our favorite tool goes down or the bubble bursts like they're kind of talking about and we're without AI for a little bit. I it's like you need to have those skills. Similarly, like, if your computer breaks down, do you know how to type on a typewriter if needed or write, you know? So yeah, I love your example of the horse crap picker uppers. So very nice. You mentioned Whisperflow earlier. Do you have other favorite tools?
ChatGPT is an easy one. I'm not, but I haven't went through all of them and did split tests. I'm very loyal. I started with ChatGPT and it never let me down. So I use ChatGPT. I use Suno AI to write songs. I had a small keynote at a presentation today, and anytime I go to a presentation, I create custom walk-in music.
Oh,
And it depends on the presentation, but oftentimes I'll open with I'd rather be different than better. And the custom AI walk in music's just a unique way to creatively differentiate yourself from everyone else at that event. So I like creating custom songs. I do it for podcast episodes or walk in music. I like ChatGPT for writing and image generation. And those are my two main ones. I have a podcast, so I use AI to get the clips, Opus Clip for the clips. I've been using Auphonic before AI was even a term. I've been using it since like 2018. And Auphonic is a volume leveler. So let's say I'm really soft and you're really loud and it sounds not great. Auphonic will level the volume. And you can also set it at a certain decibel level. So every single episode is the same volume. So it's
oh,
not
nice.
like really loud and then real quiet. So you're turning up and down and up and down on the volume knob. So really basic things that make life easier. But maybe I'm a control freak. I'm always like, I'm the last approval always. Like
Oh,
for
100%.
real. For real.
Well,
It is not shipping it. Even when my team members, they do great work and this is a problem, maybe I got to replace myself. I'm going to get the final approval. Like that's important to me.
yeah, 100%. Same here. And you're right with the human having the final approval on things created by AI. I have seen that 100%. We had a guy one time send us what was going to be his book launch plan. It was 100% AI done. I could tell it was just copy paste from ChatGPT. It had things on there that you would never ask a publisher to do or give you access to. And I was like, we're not doing this. And yet, had I not been experienced in what an actual book launch looks like, I might have actually followed that and it would have crashed and burned. And, AI has misguided clients before on like titles that they should call themselves because it's not understanding the human side of things. We use human design a lot in what we do. But I kind of see us as orchestrators of the various AI tools and knowing when to use them and where properly, just like an orchestrator knows the violin should go here, the bass should go there. It's very much like that. That's how I feel anyway.
Well, if you've already created hundreds of hours of content or you've done tons of writing, you can upload all that and then it knows you. In the medical situation, you can upload your labs and your current diet and your goals, and then it'll customize to you. But if you just want some vanilla, just spit out whatever it comes out with, reply, you're just going to have vanilla, whatever content and answers. And it's not always right. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I know that we hear people say, crap in, crap out, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So just get better at prompting. And it's like, well, no, kind of, but no, because you need to know the actual knowledge behind, like you need to know marketing in order to know how to be a better prompter. So
I just thought of something I had never thought of that I'm going to go try. Because people always start things off like you're a video expert, and you don't really need to tell it that. It already is. Like, it already knows everything. You need to prompt better than just saying, you're good at video. Write me a script. That's how most people prompt. But let's say I'm not a video expert and I'm not a script writer. What I'd like to try is tell the AI, I'm not a video expert. Teach me what it takes to become one, and let's work together on this, because then it'll walk you through what it's doing, and then you can bring your own personal experience to it, even if you're not an expert. But most of us go, you're a video expert, you've got this, and then you just post whatever it gives you, versus, hey, I'm not a video expert. Can you help me educate based on this or that? Or, hey, here's Alex Hermosi, here's Brene Brown, here's Oprah, here's 3 YouTube channels. Analyze what they're doing well and ask me some questions to see what my sweet spot might be. And again, like, you don't have to be an expert, but you need to be willing enough to actually dive a little bit deeper and do the exploration process versus just outsourcing it again to the bot.
yeah, 100%. I love doing that. I do that a lot with Claude, where I'll say, like, even with my own stuff, like, okay, here are some transcripts from my last 4 sales calls. Find some patterns in here that I might be missing. Here's what I'm seeing. What else am I missing or whatever? And it's really helpful in being able to just get those situations figured out faster.
So fast.
Well, is there any particular story that you were like, I really want to make sure I share this today?
No.
No, you're like, I used all my words today.
I mean, I have plenty of words, but I didn't come in being like, oh, I need to do X, Y. Like, I'm just here with you and the listener, and we're spending time together. I'm not here with a specific story that I have to share. I'm happy to keep talking if you want me to, but the answer was no. I did not come with anything I needed to talk about.
Well, is there anything popping up that you would want to share now from maybe what we've already talked about?
And I know you already do this with this show, but we'll expand on what you're already doing and bring our conversation into this thought. You and I just had a chat. Like, you were the host and I was the guest. So I did a little more talking, I did a little more yapping, but we just had a conversation and it wasn't scripted and it was real and it was genuine. And the listener enjoys conversations like it because it's real, it's genuine. It's like just two people having a coffee chat. And we talked about this. Insert that into your life, insert that into your business. If you want to meet somebody, don't treat them as some icon on the wall. Just treat them as another human that has the same, feet and a head and puts their pants on and wants to be treated like a human. I'll find the I Show Speed video. I'll send it to you. But if someone
Yeah.
wants to look up I Show Speed, Cristiano Ronaldo, it's like, again, a streamer is talking to one of the legends of soccer or football like they were just buddies. And I think if we treated each other with that kind of just friendship, but also respect simultaneously, don't get so casual that you're disrespectful. But if we treated people with that level of humanity plus respect, all of us would be better for it.
Oh, I love that. No, you're so right. Just having conversations with human beings and just being curious. That's what I've discovered in just digging down, and we do this thing called third level listening. That's a proactive skill. It's essentially just listening to what's not being said, what's going on around them, things in the background that maybe you can pick up on. But it's really important that we start to get to that place and that genuine curiosity about one another. And that makes it really easy. That was one of the networking tips that I learned years and years and years ago. It was always, if you don't know what to say, ask about the other person.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it easy because then you just have to ask a question and let them talk.
And if you don't know what to ask, just compliment them. Don't make stuff up, but like, wow, you seem really confident. Why are you here? Like, you could be super icky and cringy, but like, hey, I like your suit. Hey, you seem really confident. I'm not. Like, like, if you don't know what to ask, just compliment them and just like get something going. Like, we're just humans. I feel like we're beating a dead horse, but it needs to be heard.
No, it does need to be heard. And I hear it all the time from my friends who have employees that they're like, I don't understand it. They just don't know how to have a conversation. And it, thankfully, my team isn't like that. But that's why, yeah, it might feel like we're beating a dead horse, but clearly it still needs to be talked about because the problem still exists. Your Real Business Connections podcast. How did that come about?
That's a long story.
Nah. Oh, good. I'll sit back.
I'll give you the bullet points. So the pandemic hits. We touched on this music band, handing out flyers, but also a party animal. The music industry shut down. And I was a sales executive for an agency, and we were doing primarily video production all across the States. No travel, no in person, no video, chargebacks, no sales. What the heck's going to happen? And I ended up getting furloughed. I had just started in my role. So, last one in, first one out scenario. So, Music Ben is broke, unemployed, non essential, shut down. I had to become Business Ben, who maybe is an entrepreneur. I don't know. I just figure it out. And I had a music podcast in Rochester, New York, my hometown, but I didn't have any business connections. Like, people in the music world knew me at certain, like Giant Panda Grow, Dub Squad, but the average Joe didn't know me from anyone else. I didn't have a business presence online, and most of my work wasn't local anyway. So I started Rochester Business Connections because I needed some. And I knew through podcasting that there's a power in conversation. And I knew, and this became clearer and clearer as I went, but everyone I talked to was a mentor. They had something I didn't, whether it's CRMs to leadership to accounting. They could teach me about, I didn't know anything about business. I was playing business on a podcast. They could teach me something about business, but not only are they a mentor, they're a peer. They are also a business owner. They're farther along, but they're not any better than me. They're just farther along. We're peers. and they're a prospect. Not that I treated them like prospects. I wasn't like teeth out ready to bite, but they're a business owner and I was better at them at one thing out of 100. And that just happened to be marketing and some marketing adjacent kind of things I could offer them. I had a marketing background. So the podcast allowed me to get mentored, develop friendship with peers, and bring in clients. And it was Rochester Business Connections. That was November of 2020. Now it's like, what the heck? Where did time go? Like 5 years down the road. Now it's called Real Business Connections. We have like 150 or 60 Rochester episodes, but like over 600 total because we've moved away from just Rochester only. And I've been able to play bigger and grow as a brand and grow as a person. But the small, short way to put it, I love the analogy, is when I started, I was a minnow marketer during the pandemic, recently unemployed, a minnow in an ocean of sameness. So I decided to get in the smallest pond possible because if my own hometown won't put their chips on me and won't support me, who am I to think that I can be the next Alex Hermosi or big name, whatever? Not that I even was trying at the time. So I started local. I grew in my pond. And then as I grew as a person, I can find bigger opportunities. And you know this from what you've done in your industry. It just gets better and better as you go.
Yeah, I love that you're saying the growing, because I can't tell you how many times somebody has come to us and they've never been on TV before, never had any media coverage, but they want to be on Oprah's, gift guide, or they want to be on the Today Show. And I'm like, it's not going to happen. Sorry. You don't get to start there for most people. I know they have the occasional somebody went viral, but for most people, you start local, expand, get comfortable with
Yeah.
media, especially live TV. Being live is a lot different. Um, we had a client one time, she didn't know it was live and she did her segment and she did brilliantly. And after the segment, I said, "You did great. That was your first live." And she was like, "Wait, that was live?" She goes, "I'm so glad you didn't tell me that." I was like, "Yeah, it was kind of a gamble I took on that one."
It worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. But I know I've been on live TV before where I've been
Yeah.
asked a question I wasn't ready for, but thankfully it wasn't my first time on live TV. And I had been trained on how to, you know, redirect the conversation to go somewhere I was comfortable with. But yeah, I love that you pointed that out to start, make your own little group and then grow from there. That's awesome.
It,
Well,
it
then, where can people reach out to you if they want to connect to you?
I'm going to first give an invitation because I wouldn't be here without you, Chrissy, and your amazing audience and the person listening at home, every individual of them together, building the tribe. It's always we listen to, this is another thing. I'm just rambling.
Go
I
for it.
always try to talk to one person at a time because it's not like people are listening to podcast in some big arena. They're listening at home. So I appreciate them individually because this wouldn't happen without them individually. And it wouldn't happen without you, Chrissy. So I say click like on this podcast, click 5 stars if it's there, leave a comment, subscribe, depending on your platform, show some love. You can find Real Business Connections wherever you found this. Maybe as a marketer, I failed you and you have to Google it, Google Real Business Connections. But wherever you found this, type in Real Business Connections. That's where you'll find my show. But show some love here first. And then if you gain value, I'd love to hear more from you.
That's awesome, Ben. That's actually a perfect modeling of growing as a connector and building that relationship. So that's awesome. Thank
If
you.
you look good and your audience grows, then you're going to want me back and I can help more people. So it works.
Well, and I know we're wrapping up, but you bring up a good point of talking to one person.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we do in all of our campaigns too. Is we literally have our avatar and we name her or him, and we're like, oh, would this email would Jennifer like this email, or would, Jeremiah like this email? And if he or she wouldn't, it's not good enough. So I love that you say that. But, well, thank you so much for being a guest and for being such a gracious guest as well on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.